Hi, this is Shabelle TV. Welcome to the news in English live from Mogadishu. With me, I am Omar Noor. The top stories include Somali President vows to continue the war against Al-Shabaab as he addresses the parliament in Mogadishu. Somali cabinet has approved the national budget of the next year as the country faces the threat of Al-Shabaab and the ongoing offensive. Somali government forces regain more territory from Al-Shabaab militants in central regions. African Union forces are expected to take part on impending war against Al-Shabaab in lower Shabelle region. Kenyan defense forces in southern Somalia say they will double their strikes against Al-Shabaab hideouts in Somalia. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has voted to defeat the current President Joe Biden in the next elections in U.S. as he announces his candidacy for the presidential election. Welcome back to the news in detail. Somali's President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud has voted to continue the war against Al-Shabaab militants in an address to the lawmakers in which he also warned of looming famine in the parties of the country. Speaking at the opening of the Somali second session of Parliament on Tuesday in Mogadishu, Hassan Sheikh Mohamud voted to continue what he called an all-out war against terrorism. Mohamud said Somalia enjoyed victories in recent defensive against militant group Al-Shabaab. He also praised the local militias for helping in the fight against the militants who called Khawarij, a term for someone who divided from Al-Shabaab. Our country and our people are in a time where going back and defeat are not an option. Mahmoud said, we decided to commit in order to liberate the country from the Khawarij, he said. Working with the local militia, the Somali National Army has freed scores of villages in central and southern Somalia from Al-Shabaab control in recent months. The militants, meanwhile, have increased their attacks since Hassan Sheikh Mohamud took office in May of this year. They include a rare July incursion into neighboring Ethiopia that authorities say left hundreds of militants dead, and twin car bombs in Mogadishu in October last month that killed at least 120 people dead. Hassan Sheikh Mohamud also spoke to lawmakers about the Somalis' struggle with a record drought that is threatening the famine in parts of the country. The Horn of Africa nation is entering a fifth consecutive veiled rainy season that has killed millions of livestock across Ethiopia, Somalia, and Kenya, and left millions of people in need of urgent humanitarian aid. Somali cabinet minister has approved a new national budget. Somali cabinet ministries have voted to approve a nearly 1 billion budget for the 2023 fiscal year following a meeting chaired by the current Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre on Tuesday in Mogadishu. The $967.7 million national budget will be raised through the domestic revenue and international granted, with domestic revenue expected to be $283.3 million in 2023, an increase of 36.3 million from this year. As with the previous years, the majority of Somali's budget, 70%, will be provided by the donors. Minister of Finance Dr. Ilmi Mahmoud Noor thanked the Council for approving the budget, which will now be submitted to the Parliament for approval in a joint session of the lower and upper houses of the Federal Parliament. During the meeting, the Cabinet Ministers also approved the defense agreements between the governments of Somalia, Uganda, and as well as Sudan regarding the defense cooperation. The Cabinet didn't elaborate on the details of the agreements. However, the Ministry of Defense emphasized that the practice would improve the rebuilding of the Somali National Army. Due to the protracted length of the last year's election, Somali's current budget was not approved by the Cabinet until late May and wasn't ratified by the Parliament until June of this year. Somalia earmarked a total of $918.7 million for this year. That's the end of our today's English news live from Mogadishu. With me, I am Omar Noor, and the rest of the team will